Hello, Karen. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me this morning.
Beautiful. And thank you so very much for being here. You say, I truly appreciate you. And you say, Karen, oftentimes I love to thank my guest for two things. And I do this so often to the point where it has become my anthem. So firstly, I want to say thank you so very much, Karen, for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you did invested in yourself. And oftentimes, Karen, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, some couple of months back, I was on a particular road, and just outside Karen, there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked and I went my way. But you see, Karen, just recently I was on that same road and around. Hmm, a lot's changed about the mango tree. The mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance, and immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did, and it wowed me because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and everything, and not just mangoes, talking about ripe mangoes. It was such a lovely experience that day. I was so excited. Here is my the fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Karen that you are. Can you hear me now?
Now I can
Yeah,
hear you a lot better.
beautiful, beautiful. Sorry about that. So I said I am quite excited to
No worries.
have. Yeah, I'm quite excited to have you on the show for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Karen, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information, and not just knowledge now, but the application of it. And you see, Karen, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason why I'm excited to have the amazing Karen on the show is for the sake of the audience. You see, Karen, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got a lot of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, eye-opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced, Karen, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or your professional journey, because right now we are so curious. We want to know how Karen got here. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Karen, over to you.
Thank you so much. My journey started a long, long time ago. I'm almost 48. I've always been an entrepreneur. As soon as I entered mid 20s, I worked with my father and my sister in international shipping. We actually ended up being the third largest exporter to West Africa. And we loved it. I always said that ships run in my blood because I enjoyed the entire export import community, the trade itself, the sales. That was my portion of the business, doing sales for containers, air freight, that sort of thing. Unfortunately, the company did close down and we did go our separate ways. I ended up going into real estate after a few years of frolicking between different businesses, and it was a perfect fit. I love helping people. I love teaching people. I love enlightening people about what their options are and what's best for them. The experience that we offer our clients is one of comfort and passion, and I wouldn't say stress free, because anytime that you buy or sell a house, it is very stressful, being that it's the biggest transaction, purchase or sale, that a person will ever make in their lifetime. But I'm really good at alleviating other people's stress, whether it's with data and knowledge of the market, knowledge of the transaction itself, or if they just need someone to talk to and someone that's going to assure them that everything will be fine. So my journey has been very long. I've personally moved 29 times in my life. So I
Ooh,
understand the stress moving in between continents and countries and states and cities. I know that journey very well, and I'm happy to accompany anyone who would like to take me on that journey with them.
amazing. Wow. 29 times. Oh boy. Okay, so right now I'm curious about something. So, how has moving shaped your view on happiness?
I'm sorry I couldn't hear you.
Okay, I'll repeat that. I'll repeat that. So, I said, how has moving shaped your view on happiness? Got it?
So I believe happiness comes from within. It's not something from the outside. And so when I was growing up, my parents had always told us every time we moved, this is a new adventure. You're going to meet new people, a new location. You'll make new friends. And that's how I've always looked at moving. And I've raised my kids the same way because it is imperative that we don't let stress get into our hearts, because life is hard as it is. And so, if happiness comes from within you and your happiness is within your nucleus of your family, whether it's the extended family that includes in laws, parents, and all of that, obviously, children are always included. But this way, if you have happiness within you, no matter where you go, you take your home with you, because home, a lot of people end up having it be a location, and it really shouldn't be, because it's the people that are around you that make a house a home, not the actual physical location. And I think it takes a while to learn that. But once you do, you should be fine whether or not you're living in Vernon, New Jersey, or somewhere in Seattle, or in a different country.
The home. Wow. It is the people around you that makes a house a home, not the physical location. Wow, that's profound. I got that. I got that. So, what do people often overlook when choosing where to live?
I think they overlook what makes them happy. For instance, for me, I love living on a lake and I'm surrounded by a forest, and that's where my peace is at. At the end of the day, all I want to do is sit on my deck and overlook my untreated lake that has tons of wild fowl living in it, whether it's the Canadian geese or the ducks or the wood ducks or the turtles or anything that lives around us. That's where my peace is. That's where I want to come back home to. People need to sit down by themselves, wherever they are comfortable being who they truly are in their core, and figure out where they are happy the most.
I got that. So let's get personal a bit, okay? What is the most
Sure.
impactful move you've ever made? Like the most impactful move?
I would say my move here to Vernon, New Jersey, it was all, I believe it was all from up above. It was something I never considered. I've never even thought of moving here, but I could see where God was taking me from one place to another until I reached this location. And we were living in a different county, in a different town. And one of my fiance's workers said, my stepmom has a house that she'd like to rent in Vernon. Would you like to see it? And we said, absolutely. We had two young children. We wanted to move to some place that had more land, because I'm very big on not doing a lot of screen time for my children when they were younger at that age. And so we drove down this meandering driveway, and all I saw in front of me was a huge lake and a forest surrounding it. I didn't even go inside the house. But what I told my fiance at that time was, they will pry this house from my dead cold fingers. Because on the inside, I could change anything I don't like, but I cannot change the location. I cannot change the fact that there was an acre and a half of lake and there were 20 acres of trees and forest, and it was just a magical location. I immediately felt a connection. And he said to me, don't you want to see what's inside of the house to see if it fits the way it's laid out? I said, it doesn't matter. You're in construction. You can change anything I don't like, but the location, I cannot change. As soon as we drove into Vernon, right across the hill from the town we were living in, this peace came over me, this serenity, and I'm very high energy. So I didn't recognize that feeling prior to, because I'm always on the go. I'm always doing something. I have my hands in many different things. I'm helping different people, different charities. I do a lot of volunteer work. But this peace, this serenity just took it down to a different location. And I said, this is it. This is where I am meant to be. And I knew right away this was it. And we rented the house for 4 years and then we bought it. And that was 4
Wow.
years ago. So we've been at this location for 8 years.
Whoa. Amazing. I love that. Amazing. Amazing. I love that. So while you were talking earlier, you mentioned venturing into real estate. So what inspired you to get into real estate?
That was actually something I contribute to my now fiance. I was in between jobs. I had just left my job as the CEO of a beauty company in Queens, New York. I was driving an hour and a half into work every day and back home. My children were very young. And I had just gotten frustrated with the traffic and the fact that my nanny was spending more time with my children than I was. And I made the decision to leave. And so my then boyfriend said that he would like to flip houses, and he was trying to find a house to flip. And Sussex County and Vernon area specifically had very cheap houses, $30, $40, $50,000, except no one was calling him back. None of the agents that he had reached out to in order to gain access into the house had responded to him or returned his calls. And I said, you know what? I'm in between jobs. Let me take over and I will communicate with them. I've always been in business. I know how to do my follow up. I'm very professional. Let me do it, because he was working in construction at the time. And so I took over. And for 2 weeks, I tried to call, text, and email all these agents, and no one was calling me back. And I was getting very frustrated. So at the dinner table on a Thursday night, I said to him, you know, I can't believe no one's calling me back. I know they're not getting salaries. How is it possible? Don't they need to sell a house to make money? And I'm just going on and on and on because I'm very frustrated that no one is responding to me. And he just looked at me and he said, why don't you just become an agent? And so that night I signed up for real estate class. Monday I started school, and a month later I already had my license. And that was the beginning of a beautiful journey.
Wow, amazing. So how has the journey been so far? Because I believe challenges are inevitable. So how have you been able to overcome those tough moments?
Well, I'm Israeli. And so being Israeli means that I think outside of the box. So if there's a problem, that means that there is a solution. I just need to look at it at the bigger picture and determine what my goal is to overcome this problem and what are the ways that I can do that. And because I was raised in a different country, my thought process is very different from other people. And so if there's a problem, there is a solution. And if there is no solution, then you give it up to God, because there's nothing you can do about it. I can keep banging my head on the wall, but if it's not something that I can control or something that I can change, I just give it up to him and pray for his help.
If there is a problem, there is a solution. I got that. Profound words, Karen. I love that. So we have two more to go, okay?
Thank you.
So can you share can you share a moment when you make an impact for a client? Maybe like a success story or something.
A success story. Wow, there have been so many. I think my biggest success story, at least recently, was that after 8 years in real estate, I became the number one agent in my entire county. Out of 642 agents, being in the industry for only 8 years, I beat out all the other agents and all the other teams in my area. And so it's not something that I wanted to achieve. I wasn't striving towards that because my goal every year is to do better than I had done the year before, to help more people than I helped the year prior. So it was never a goal that I set out for myself. I just wanted to do better. But I was given the opportunity, and as soon as an opportunity is given, I'm going to grab it in both hands because there's a reason why I was given it. And we went for it and we made a huge accomplishment in a very short amount of time.
Wow. You made a huge accomplishment in a very short period of time. I love that. That's a great one. Okay, so yeah, there is a spot I'm curious about. We might have some listeners who are planning to relocate, and let's say they ask question like, "Hey, Karen, what is your top tip for a smooth relocation?" What would your response be?
So it depends whether we're crossing state lines, whether we're coming into a different state. In that case, I would actually recommend renting first because you don't know what you're going to like. And so I can give you an example. My father had moved from California to Florida to a location where his wife had family, but they didn't rent first. They just moved. And he ended up hating the location, hating the population. And my father at that time was in his 70s, but they moved into a settlement that had only older people. And he felt like he was wilting in the location, like his life force was leaving him because everyone was at the end of the road for them. He didn't feel like the energy matched his own. And so when they decided to move again, they actually rented for a few months in order to make a decision as to whether or not they would like to actually purchase in the location, which they then did purchase. But I would say if you're moving across state lines, just rent first because you don't know the area. And you might have a really great agent that'll give you all the information, but how you're going to feel living in a new location, you're not going to know until you're actually there.
That's a smart one, and that's exactly what I'm doing. When I relocated, I ensure that I don't just rush into buying first, but renting, and that's what I'm currently doing. That's a smart one. Okay, Karen, so to bring this to an end, what would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those folks who would like to reach out to you, learn more about everything we've discussed so far, or even ask questions, how can that be possible?
I'm always available via cell phone. My phone number is 551-262-4062. I'm also on social media platforms on Instagram and Facebook. I'm very active on both of those platforms. And they can always just send me an email. My email address is gonen.keren1@gmail.com.
Beautiful. So, any final thought?
It's actually really simple. For me, if there's something that I want to accomplish, I just do it because nothing is there to stop me except myself.
Nothing is there to stop me except myself. I got that. That's so powerful. I love that. So that's going to be the end of the show, Karen. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing this beautiful stuff with us. I tell you, you've blessed my day already. It means a whole lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.